Okay, something a little different today. Back at a property I helped build a boardwalk for. I'd never built a boardwalk until I did this one, but I got the gist. I'm here, I'll show you the finished product, it all done, all the stone all laid out and stuff like that, aside from this pile. On this property, it was weird. This property here, they were going to build a house. The guy died, and so they never actually got to build. So it's in the name of the builder now. He owns it. No one's built on it yet. But unrelated, for some reason, the builder on this place did not connect this return to here. In my opinion, this should have been connected. I mean, he just has this runoff here for no reason whatsoever. And I talked to not really the inspector, I don't know, he works for this community, and he thought there'd be some runoff here, some kind of drainage in here, but I looked in this mess and there was nothing there. So I have no idea why this is like this, but it is. Nonetheless, we had to work around that. So for this client, I had to come off the bulkhead here. They had a bulkhead going all the way across the front. Try to show here. Bulkhead underneath, you can see these metal panels, and those are hammered into the soil, into the sand, down into the water, and this keeps the water back from the property. Basically, there was a board on top of here, and the client wanted it flush all the way down. Some people kind of curve around these pilings and such. He didn't want that, so all I had to do was go straight down. I got these boards, I cut them all, and I lined up the front, so I have the front straight going all the way down. I didn't space these boards out in particular, simply because they were wet boards, and I knew, especially in this climate on the salt water with all the sun, they were going to dry out. And as you can see here, they're starting to get spaced out. You can see my beautiful white flip-flops. I forgot my sandals, so these are a Walmart special. All the way down, you can start to see the spacing. Another thing the client did, I had the client get all the lumber, and he ordered all this from 84 Lumber, and he ordered way too short of amount, and pretty much from here on is all different, you could see. And I told him it's going to look different. He didn't care, and I said, so be it. So this is from Lowe's, and you can see the difference here, how dark to how light that is. There is plumbing coming up through here. You can't see it, but under those boards there's plumbing. They're going to have a sink fixture there. He's not ready for it yet, and that is that. Down here was basically the only other complicated cut, up against the neighbors. He also didn't want it flush with the neighbors. I talked to him about that. You can see how there's a dip. His is up a little higher, a board length, and all I really had to do was follow that line. So that was the only complicated cut. This angle to that angle is a little bit weird, and then going around here, going around that piling, but it came out good. Wanted to show you the finished product because I'm going to put some pictures right after I'm done talking here, and I'll talk over that and kind of explain what we did. Basically, we had to dig all this out, and this is on a decent slope, and underneath here there's 4x6s. There's a run of 4x6 underneath the back end, a 4x6 run in the middle, and then there's the bulkhead. So there's 3 points of contact for attaching the decking. I put bracing in between those 4x6s, and on the back run of 4x6s, they're secured, supported by foot diameter holes, 3.5 foot deep, filled with concrete. So it's got their own footers. Pretty much I just did them at the junction of each 4x6. I think the 4x6s were I think they were 16 footers, 16 or 12 foot. But this is about a 100-foot run. So at the junction, the ends, and I did a few extra for support. And I put bolts up through and anchored them down with all thread. And so this back end's not going anywhere. I let the back end run long when I was first doing it, and then I basically took my saw and cut straight down the edge. You get a nice straight line that way. So when you look down, it's a nice, beautiful straight boardwalk. So I'm really pleased with how it came out, especially it being the first time. And like I said, I'm going to show some pictures here, and I'll talk a little bit more about the process, the planning, and how If it's something that you need to take on, you can do. Considerations for being on the salt water and that kind of thing. So stay tuned, and I'll talk to you then. Here you can see we're starting the process. We've excavated out the area with a mini skid steer, and we got it to proper depth. There's probably 12 inches on the high side, 6 on the low. We're laying out the boards to see where they're going to fall for the footings, to see where the junction points are. And we dug out the holes with a little auger and got it down about 3.5 feet and got the sono tubes in. That'll just hold the concrete in there. So there you can see the tube, about 1 foot in diameter, 3.5 foot deep. Premix some concrete, put it in there, and then put the all thread on top. That junction point of those two boards will get moved over to the left from this point of view. In between those pieces of all thread, holes are drilled in the top. They're put down on top of that and then bolted to it, not going anywhere. We did that down the whole run there. I had a string line going down the back to keep the boards even, going all the way down. The boards were absolutely horrible. They were all banana boards, just twisted all which way. But we made it work. Got them all secured down and tied in together, and then we had this excavated out part. We put down the landscape mat. Keeps it clean and doesn't let things grow up through. We backfilled a little bit and brought the middle run up to height. I secured these boards together just using 2x6 bracing at the junction points. Easy and cheap, and does the job just fine. And then I just used metal brackets to tie both ends into the boardwalk on the neighbor's side and the client's side. All stainless steel stuff was used, both brackets and screws all the way down. Salt water will erode and corrode, so make sure you use the right material, pressure treated boards and such. Here we had an intruder that had to be dealt with. Apparently he's a regular visitor. He just kind of plopped right into the water. We didn't even need to help him. Thought I'd share. Here you could see how we backfilled it all, just to keep everything tight in there, so that middle thing can't move in any which way. And I put some bracing just at the junction points of that middle run, just to make sure it wouldn't go anywhere between the back and the bulkhead side. Here you'll be able to see it a little better from the top. You can see I have some bracing in there running perpendicular to those long runs, just to make sure it can't flex and move in any which way. Really all not that necessary with the backfill on the back and the middle. I mean, it's not going to flex, but I like to just have that extra assurance. And here I'm starting to lay the decking. The decking is simple enough. All you really need to do is make sure you're keeping your boards relatively straight from when you start to when you finish. You'll find yourself wanting to kind of twist and move them a little bit. Keep them as straight as possible going down. I also had a string line on the front. Like I said, I kept the front one cut already, and I had those lined up. That string line had to be finagled around those pilings to get it just right, so that the pilings weren't impinging on it. But once you get it right, just put the front on that string line and keep following all the way down. If you do that right and you're kind of watching the back, making sure it's not twisting or you're not pivoting it too much in any way, you'll be okay. Like I said, I left no gaps in this because I knew it was going to dry out with the salt air and the sun. And I'm glad I did, going back and looking at the video. Here's the finished product all the way down. You can see when I was building it, like I said, I left the back end long, and then I just went back with my circular saw and cut all the way down the back length of it. Gives you a nice clean cut straight line, and that's basically the finished product. It came out great. Cutting around any of the pilings like I did on the left hand side, you just need to take your time. I used a jigsaw, and I mapped it out well with the angles, so just take your time with it, get the angles right. Cut less than you have to. If you're unsure, you can always cut more, but you can add material on the normal stuff. So that's that project. Happy to share it with you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.